Good morning, it's 10:04, Council meeting, Wichita County Commissioners Court of Order, everyone please rise. At this time, I'd like to call on Commissioner Jeff Watts to give the invocation.
Judge, I've asked Joel Hamanis to give our invocation this morning and Robert to lead us in pledges if that's okay.
All right, that's good, thank you.
Let us pray. Our gracious, most heavenly Father and supreme commander of the universe, we give you our thanks for bringing us together as men and women here at this wonderful occasion, this meeting. We ask that you bestow the proper wisdom to everyone here. We also ask to be with us to guide, lead, and direct us to the new year. All these things we ask in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Robert?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thanks, Steve, please. I have a couple of things I'd like to do that are part of our presentations this morning. And one of those is to recognize Judge Judy Baker. Thank you, Commissioner. Certificate of appreciation. This certificate is presented to Judy G. Baker for 30 years of service to Wichita County. Now, that's a combination of two different tracks of service, but all of it, great time for you putting in, and the county certainly benefited from that, and still does. Okay. Congratulations on reaching your milestone service anniversary. Through your hard work, dedication, and loyalty, Wichita County is able to provide quality service to the citizens of Wichita County. In honor of your service, we are pleased to offer you a choice of anniversary awards. Please accept your gift as an expression of our gratitude for the contributions you have continued to make every day. On behalf of Commissioners Court, we commend you for your service, and with you every success as you continue your career, toward year-end milestone. Your commitment to Wichita County is deeply appreciated. This 31st day of October is actually when this was, and we were able to get you. But Judy, you have brought me things, especially your time, I've really got to know you much better working as our Justice of Peace in Precinct 4. And the interesting thing with Judy, anytime she's asked to do something, she never balks at it. She offers her contributions to it and takes it on, makes it her own, and it is appreciated. You've done that with a number of different things to help us out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's what I've worked under 3 different tax collectors. Miles Graham, Lynette Everton, and Lee Murdoch.
Wow.
That was my 20 years. And then my 10.
In the tax office, Judy? Oh, okay, okay.
I retired there as assistant.
Wow.
I didn't know you could get a job in the county when you're 12 years old.
I looked old for my age. But anyway, thank you.
Well, thank you. Okay, I don't see our next honoree.
Yeah, right here, Judge, up
Oh,
front.
there, okay. I was looking at my body, I thought, all right.
He's got a mask on.
Right.
Yeah. Who's that?
Yeah.
All right, Gilbert, come on up here, buddy. Bob Yo, you come along with me, please. I'll take the picture or something, brother. Now, Gilbert's the kind of guy, this is not his area. You give Gilbert any task to do, and he's gonna get it done. Even if he didn't know anything about it, he's gonna figure it out and do it. And so, Gilbert, we want to recognize you as Wichita County Employee of the Month for December 2020 in appreciation of your outstanding performance, service, and dedication to Wichita County. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Congratulations.
I just want to say thank y'all for voting me in for this, and also for recognizing our maintenance department.
Well,
Amen.
we couldn't do without you, to say the least. So, thank you very much.
Hey, Gilbert, hey, I'd like to say a few things.
Oh, yeah, please, Mark.
I don't know if y'all know this, but I've known Gilbert since I was a young teenager. At which time Gilbert actually worked for my grandpa and worked with my dad. When my dad found out that Gilbert was working at the county, he told me, quote, "That boy can fix anything." And that's the highest compliment that you could ever have from my dad, and it's true. Gilbert can fix and do anything, and not only fix it, but he works with excellence. His work quality is top notch. He does not do anything halfway, and I appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Mark. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Been an honor.
Yes.
So,
Well, I worked with these guys for a while, and I'll tell you that the one thing that I really appreciate is we can call in the middle of the night, and they'll get on it, and they take care of it, their attitude's always good, like, let's go do it, let's go fix it. Really appreciate you guys more than we can say. All of you, the whole department, thank you, Gilbert.
Thank y'all.
Man needs raised.
Judge, you need to
Yeah,
make,
brother.
you need to make sure Mark's got his mask on, he's coughing there. a little
Yeah.
bit, so, yeah. Mark, put your mask on.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
all right. It's always nice to have a meeting start off with those kind of very positive things and recognize the very good people we have throughout the county. Okay, we're down to the section on the agenda that calls for any public comment at this time. Trish, I thought you were standing up to make comment. You didn't know this, went right in. So, all right. Hearing none at this time, I will move down to the consent agenda. Ask for take action on consent agenda, or ask for clarification, or move anything down.
Pretty long consent agenda, Judge, having gone over it in detail this morning, I'd make a motion, we accept it.
Second.
Tim wants to mention on item 3, the donation of the used office furniture that serves retail value. Basically what that is I had sought out some visitor chairs, and once I received the price for them, it's too high. And I was told that they had some of the just removed from the doctor's office that were making to dispose of. And they're perfect for our needs. So, although it does have a retail value of $1,500, the actual value is quite less.
Okay. Okay, any other comments or questions on the consent agenda? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Carries 5-0. Okay, item number 1 on general business, review the approve of regular bills for payment.
Motion paid, Judge.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ballard, second by Commissioner Finnegan to approve the bills as presented. Any comments or questions by anyone on the bill? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Because we've got some other zero skip, number 2, and go on down. I want to go down and go to item number 5 is discussion, consider, take action on funds provided to the DAB to procure 2020 ban transportation of local veterans. Commander Mendes?
Yes, sir. For the constituencies, Drake County and the veterans of this county, what happened 15 years ago when we got our first ban, because of the help of everyone, you kept doing this every other year or to get a new van, and y'all helped the county. And at this time, because of the COVID situation, our van, which was a new van, stayed inoperable for 11 and a half months. And it hadn't been driven to Oklahoma City because of what was happening in our great nation. And so the monies that we received from the court, I received 3 weeks ago, and I wanted the advice of the court, what do I do with that money now? Me and my executive board, we said, well, why don't we just leave it in our general fund? And then when this thing lifts up, we can do whatever we need to do. And I said, and then a couple of us said, no, we better not. Let's do it the way it was given to us, and that's the way we want to give it back to y'all, but we want to do it the proper way. And I know Commissioner Fincannon, you know, new to I imagine it's confusing to him like it is others, but the bottom line is we have the money, but we want the court to let us know, what do I do? Do I give it back, or do I wait to a year from now, and when we get another new van, or whenever this COVID lifts up? And that's why I was put on the agenda, we were put on the agenda today, and I love this city and this county, and I love the decisions that sometimes that are made here and on us. It's been great. And I appreciate the bottom of my heart, because over these years, there's been about 15,000 veterans that we have personally took to Oklahoma VA Medical Center and other clinics and so forth. So now we're asking the court, because I don't want somebody to come back and say, you got our money, you just can't sit on the money, and so forth. And so I asked y'all's opinion. And I remember I talked to you
Right.
personally, and you know.
Well, and we just thought you better bring it to court, you would say, one, go ahead and keep the money and use it when that van rotates off, or
That's right.
return it, and then we will reconsider it. And I don't know, Ms. Jennings, is there any particular precedent on that, or guidance on that? I couldn't find anything, but I thought it warranted court action to approve or change whatever we want to do.
No, Judge, I just think it's the appropriate thing that it is noted, in case it did ever come up, then we're gonna have a record of the report which you all intended. Because actually, in looking at this, it may be a 2021 ban rate to go. So, but at least everyone, when we look back, we will know that this much help was given at this time, and there was no use for the vehicle at that point. But I don't know that they're required to. I don't know that that would make it any plainer, Judge.
Well, Ms. Jennings, we have earmarked that nobody touches that funds that it was given to us. No one will touch that because of this today. And we had it, and that was our intentions anyway. But like you said, I needed to bring it up to the judge and the commissioners and the constituents of our county to say that I wouldn't dare if somebody said that DAV's got some kind of funds or da-da-da, you know, and so forth. But that's good with me.
Judge, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir, please.
Do you have a mileage parameter on that van? Is that how y'all do it?
Yes, sir.
And when it
Yes.
reaches that threshold?
And it didn't reach the threshold. That's a good question. The mileage was 150,000,
Yeah.
you know, and we go over that.
Sure.
But the 11 months and 11 and a half months, we didn't get to that. And so, and then we got it for the court to know, somebody else, how generous is this county through the DAV? Another state needed it, Wisconsin, and I told them and the executive board, let's give it to them, because ours is still new, and Wisconsin took it, and they know that Wichita County is very, very in what we did to the DAV.
So when you get rolling again,
Yes,
you'll
sir.
reach that threshold pretty quickly.
We will, and I think it may be 2021, not be 2022, that we will, and at that time, we'll just, as usual, get rid of the old van, have the funds to purchase a new van, and then go on forward. Any questions? Ms. Jenny?
No, sir.
Well, Judge, I'd make the motion that we allow Joel's group to retain the money and then just notify us when a purchase takes place then.
Can I ask you something, Commissioner Watt? I wish, don't refer to me, Joel, refer to the DAB.
DAB, I'm sorry.
Because they go to my pocket then.
We wouldn't want that.
Well, we appreciate you letting us know.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Beecham, do you want to say
I
something?
said I'll second that, not many people actually come and try to bring his money back.
Well, now, you're giving him too much credit, he just.
Yeah, he's not giving it back. He just wants us to know where it's at.
I talked to the president out there and said, no. Thank you, Commissioner Watson.
So it's likely to be could be late 2021, early 2022.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you'll know the first thing we will probably on the depth of this COVID.
We have a motion by Commissioner Watts, a second by Commissioner Beecham to allow DAG Chapter 41 to retain last year's van donation for expenditure in late 2021 or early 2022. Any comments or questions by anyone? Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Thanks, sir. We'll get together and plan on that. Go ahead and tell everybody about the Friday event.
Well,
That's why you're here, please.
On Friday event, unknowingly, we received, or I received, from the President Trump and his administration, the Presidential Volunteer Service Award. That here in North Texas, I don't know if there's been one before, but it was given to the DAV Chapter 41. It was given to me, another DAV member transportation program, and Tom Bursey, and Mike Rucker, and Elizabeth Deger. And the reason why we got it, they said, well, y'all volunteer, it belongs to somebody that volunteered like 8,000 to 12,000 hours. I've been volunteering for 21 years. You know? And some of my men and women, they go over that. But it was astonishing. It was to see this beautiful from our Commander-in-Chief. And so this 10:30, Friday, January the 15th, they're going to honor these recipients in the DAV chapter. And y'all are invited, and it's just a great honor that puts Wichita County, because we're all messengers. This court is just a messenger for the good things, and sometimes you don't want to, I don't want to say it, but sometimes the bad things. But we're still messengers. We're all God's children, and this is what happened to me. I say me in the chapter, and it's just an award.
Well, that's what, I'm looking forward to that. We delay court Friday until 1:30.
Oh, well, no, thank you. And one of the things that I bring to the county, somebody asked me, what was one of your rewards? And I had so many of them. But when I helped a man get his prosthetic leg, when our chapter helped a wheelchair given to somebody that didn't have no money, that's the rewards that this team has, and y'all are on my team, and we thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joel.
Very good.
Nancy, on the Friday's posting, I just note that the court will attend that, maybe inform and attend that ceremony, and just like something, and put it in the notice at the top.
Thank you for that, Barry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
Well, I know two of us that won't be there, but
Okay.
I'll be out of
We'll
town
be
and
out of town.
Mark's out.
Mark won't. Okay. We still might, hope.
Might be three of us.
I'm planning on being there. So there could be three.
Yeah, 3.
Okay.
So that'll cover it.
Let's make note.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, item number 2 is open and take action as necessary on vehicle sale bids. This is for 5, is it Commissioner Watson?
Yes, sir. And Judge, I don't believe we received any, did we, Willie or Nancy? So with that, we do have a bid on the table from Bruckner group for that equipment, and it was a good bid. And so maybe we have Willie compile that for us for this next go-round, and we put that together for next Monday, Willie, and take formal action on it. Would that be the thing to do?
Yes, we can do that.
Willie, there's a, on one of those trucks, we had a hood issue, bling. Was that something, Nancy?
I thought this was why number 8 was
Oh, well, okay, well, maybe so, I'll just hold up on that then. Judge, Nancy thinks number 8, and it is, that was not precinct 4, it's precinct 5.
You want to remove number 8?
No, let's go ahead and leave it, and we can just go ahead and,
Okay.
Willie's got it worked up then.
His question was, let's get this straight. Did we receive a bid from Rucker Truck?
Correct. We received the bid
As
prices
part of this, or that was what they told us earlier?
That was earlier.
earlier. And it wasn't truly, Judge, it wasn't a bid, it was trade-in value, separate and apart. We decided to go out for bids on this equipment and see, if we could do something maybe more advantageous. But this is strictly what they have told us is trade-in values and wasn't necessarily a part of any bid.
Ms. James, do you want to have any time to look at that, or are you okay with that?
It's fairly,
sorry, Willie, what I recall is that we did have an offer that the court decided to go out for bids, no bids are received. We're not taking any action today, we'll put it back on next week about the Bruckner.
Well, it's actually covered down in item number 8 with.
It is?
Yes, ma'am.
We mentioned it wrong, Tracy, in the 8, it calls out 4, but it's supposed to be precinct 5.
Okay, sure. No, I mean, that's the big,
Okay.
we had that, we did not solicit that, but then when y'all decided to solicit, there's nothing there.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
good deal.
So it'd be like exercising an option to,
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
right.
all right.
this covers the 2 trucks, but not the trailers.
This is in item 8.
Yes, sir.
Well,
It's
do
through the
we
Houston
want to-
Galveston area cooperative purchasing.
Do what? Will?
It's through Houston Galveston area cooperative purchasing.
Okay, so did we get the trailer proposal?
No, we haven't got trailer proposals yet.
Okay.
But that won't be a trade, will it?
Well, it's a trade. They gave us value on ours, but
All right.
he didn't give us the write-up on it, I guess.
So we're gonna take delivery locally, but it'll be through a buying co-op.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
Well, there was some question, let's go ahead and kind of move into, since we're opening that discussion on that. The trailers, while they're offering us something on, I'm just trying to look at fund balances and expenditures, and with those trailers go another round before, I'm thinking tires, that kind of thing, you've got some expense when you start replacing, 8 tires on those.
That's the consideration, Judge. They certainly would, without doubt. We're just trying to capture the best value.
Yeah, and since it's a
There is
very
a-
hot market right now.
There is a sweet spot in there for, but yeah, that's sure an option, and we do need to look at our cash flow and kind of offset the
And
two.
see, what he's telling us, Judge, is they'll give us 22, on a $34,000 trailer, they'll give us $22,000 for ours and let us get back into new equipment, which if we did that again, we'll be on the top side of the equation. We'll be,
Well, I don't know what we're, but there's like $16,000 worth of tires on those trailers, wouldn't you think, average? So that's a consideration. Now, I'm certainly not saying we gotta jag them up, change all 16 tires on each end, but we gotta keep them DOT. Wouldn't be a date problem, but we need to watch that, because to me, that's the difference, that's the consideration.
How old are they now? 3 years?
3 years, they're coming 3. Mhm.
Yeah.
And we have had, you know, I mean, they've had tarp and framework and side rail and
The
I mean-
tarps catch a lot of heat.
grief, yeah.
But, they're
But-
still good, solid DOT approved trailers though, and that, but we do need to look at the rubber and see what,
And one thing that we didn't do, Willie, was we wanted the consideration for that other trailer. And I don't know that we got that. He gave us the prices on our current 2 trailers, but Barry, we wanted to get that third trailer up to par with the rest of them.
so if I'm hearing the numbers right, did you say 32 and 22 or 35?
34 and 22.
34 and 22, so you're basically setting a full, talking about a full set of tires. That's basically the difference, or close to it.
But we've had a continual issue, minor issue, but it's always a holdup issue on the 2007 model that needs to, it is the same brand, but it's a little bit different makeup, and maybe the air hookups different on that trailer?
I wouldn't think that they could be.
I didn't know if there
I'm
was
not
a
sure.
different
Those are belly dumps?
belly dumps, yes, sir. But we would have to do those next Monday.
Okay. You don't have hobometers on those, do you? That'd be a good idea to know how many
I
miles.
was gonna say, there's not, they should match the trucks,
Pretty much.
basically, within.
Because we don't use the
several
trucks for
miles.
anything else,
The only
Joe.
thing we pull with it other than that would be a water tank, and that's just a very short
Yeah.
haul
Yeah,
local deal,
so-
so they're gonna be nearly identical to
Yeah,
trucks.
60,000 miles.
Yeah. See, and I don't know what the average life of a tire on one of those belly dumps is, I don't have any experience with that.
No, you'd think
Somebody
they'd
could
go
tell me.
80,000 though.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We haven't done any.
No, right now, if you got a good rubber on, you're getting that, that's improving your trade or sale.
Yep, that's true, that's,
Okay. And you want to take action on item number 8?
Yes, sir.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Watts, second by,
oh, I'll second that, yes.
and then we need to change that to 375 on those designations.
That's right.
Nancy, did you see that? Okay.
Okay, any comments or questions in anyone in the audience? Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries 5-0. All right, let's go back to, item number 3 is discuss, consider, take action to accept Emily Athletica's CMAR proposal for the exterior and, exterior and elevator renovations at the courthouse annex.
Judge, I'm sorry, when I told you before, I didn't think I received anything. Glenda reminded me that I did receive on Tuesday an email from Mr. Darnell, and it was 79 pages long, so I forwarded it to all of you to review before court. I don't know if you remember that, but I did print out our copy.
This was actually a little bit of housekeeping because we had originally approved the CMAR for Inman Athletic to do both elevators at the annex and the ones here at the courthouse. But then if the court will remember, we had a massive amount of water leakage on that north side of the building. And so while they were going to be here doing that elevator and ripping out half of the everything, the guts of the building, and the timely nature that we need to get that north side fixed as quickly as what we can too. We wanted to add extra work to their project and to the project of the elevator because it will help with the elevator project to be able to come through that north wall to bring equipment and everything in. In doing so, council said that changed the job description basically of what they would be doing, so much so that it really didn't fit under just elevator anymore. And so what we did is basically went out again, we re-advertised and went out again, and Imnet Clifton was the only one that had turned in on it. This particular time, I think everybody could probably read the writing on the wall, but nonetheless, when they turned it in, an advantage to the court is that they lowered their fees. So it was going to be a small project, so generally on a small project, you have a higher fee. And so since the project grew to include demolition of the old section of the 4th and 5th floor of the jail that won't be used after the LEC is open, and then the whole north wall, and so it increased the project enough that they did not stay with the same fee that they had quoted earlier, so they reduced the fee, so it was an advantage overall anyway. But other than that, everything else remains the same, and you had pre-selected them at one point for the job, now it's just a formal second selection of them. Can I answer any questions on that?
And that's why it says exterior,
Yes.
meaning the north side exterior.
Yes. And in the interior, the wording on the actual RFP that we sent out, it details that there's other work involved also.
And then what was the proposed budget for this?
Oh, budget? Okay, the budget is fluctuating, moving around. When we added the north walls, and then when we added the removal of the 2 jail portions on the 4th and the 5th floor. What was the?
Well, the RFP on this one was provided around a budget of $3 million.
Right.
For both projects, for the exterior and the,
That's it, $3 million for the work.
That's elevators and exterior?
Except for the elevator itself is under a separate contract because the county has a.
That's the actual car,
Right.
not all the cosmetics, stairwell.
Right, this is what would be considered the architectural portion of the elevator replacement. We're bumping out, we're tearing out into each of the lobbies on the 1st through the 5th floor, and then even going down so that it can hit the true 1st floor, or floor and a half, or whatever. So the county has a contract with Dyson Crump to provide the new elevators themselves, but this is all the structural, mechanical, architectural work that goes with that elevator. And so the elevator itself, the main cab elevator, I believe, and I should have looked at those numbers before I came, and I'm going to be wrong. It seems like it's between 500,000 and 600,000, I think.
It's about 577 plus or minus.
Okay, and then that's car number 1, and then car number 2 is an additional.
I think it's somewhere in right around $250,000.
Yeah, 250,000.
now that, what you're saying, those monies are in addition to the $3 million?
Yes, sir.
So we're crowding $4 million.
Yes, sir.
And I have a question then, on our original, without the exterior, when we were just doing the elevators, what kind of money were we at, roughly? And I'm not asking, the reason for me asking that is our percentages, you say, dropped, and I'm just trying to answer to the taxpayers more. Our percentages dropped on what amount at first to what amount on second? That makes sense what I'm saying? Your fees are gonna go up in overall circumstances because you're spending more money, yeah. The scope of work is totally different.
If we had, exactly, the scope of work changed, that's why we went out
Right.
at the same time. It seems like their combined fee for overhead profit and general conditions was pushing 19%. If we had left it at that and done this work, that's the difference in.
That's why I'm asking. Right now, it's gonna be 3 million. What was it on the first, on just the elevators?
Probably about 1.5 million.
Okay.
Because this is also the first floor remodel where the sheriff's office has come out. We're also redoing that, but that was included in the first go round.
Okay. And the fee, the percentage rate dropped to what now?
Was that not considered until?
Just a second, Mark. Start over, please.
It becomes prudent to take care of that north wall once we recognize it started leaking. It opened up the additional opportunity to remove the old size jail detention equipment, which also added additional scope. But if we don't do it now, we likely will never have the opportunity to remove that equipment. Plus, removing that equipment, as Linda said, provides an easier access for doing the elevator work on the 42nd floor.
And I agree with you, Mark, 100%. The only reason I was asking for those questions is to really to let our taxpayers kind of know what the difference in money is.
The clear reasoning for why we added scope. I hated to add that scope in the north wall. There's many other things that I would like to work on before we tackle the north wall, but it's definitely
Well, we were gonna share equipment on projects, isn't that part of it, Mark?
yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
We'll have to bring in a crane for the elevator project and a crane for the north wall. By doing them simultaneously, we only have one set up being on the crane, et cetera. So there will be some cost benefit for combining the projects jointly.
Right, well, there'll be a large hole that will have to be put on that north wall to take all of the gel, the steel cells and everything out to demo that. And so that is where we'll be able to bring in equipment and everything too.
While you're fixing it, you close the hole.
Right.
And that's why I was asking those questions, because from what I'm understanding, MF Litikin's part really is only, they're jumping around $54,000. Scope of work is double, but it's just it's a little bit of a savings for the taxpayer. I was just trying to show that, not necessarily say that it was too much money. I'm just showing that the scope of work was a lot different.
We've got a much better balance of economy of scale there.
Yeah.
Well,
Unfortunately, we had to add that additional scope, but the additional scope did add some additional potential to the project too. So, that being, removing that old detention equipment, which will quickly leave the building, et cetera.
and I certainly recognize the need for all of that. I just want to make sure that I fully understand where this money's coming from. And permanent improvement fund, I mean, we are allocating just, if $1 million a year in that permanent improvement fund, and then this is one heck of a draw on what we're setting on.
You're drawing on the fund balance right now.
Yes.
And you've got $1 million a year going in, as you said.
Yes, and that fund balance is, Bob, can you see that off the top of your head, or Willie, do you know the fund balance in the permanent improvement fund?
I'm fixing to give it to you, and number 9.
Oh, number 9, okay.
But if you want real numbers right now,
Yes, sir, please.
Just
it is, according to my records, of course, since we're still fighting that TSG mess, $3,445,000.
Okay.
As of close of business 2020.
December 31.
The elevators, all three of the elevator contracts with Dyson Crump were signed prior to the end of 2020. And so that falls under, I'm not an accountant in any sort or anything else, I'm just relaying information. And so that things will be spread out over a couple of years. It's not going to all be spent all at one time immediately. And so the elevators themselves, the one from the annex and the two here in the courthouse, the contracts were signed and that money started paying out before the end of 2020.
And that 3 million are now, we're ramping closer to 4, but that does include the third elevator.
The elevator at the annex and that project is totally separate.
It's not a part of
It's not
this
a part of this document. We are doing-
3.7 million.
That is just the courthouse.
Well,
Mark, we didn't hear you at all. You and Jeff were both talking at the same time, so what'd you say?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying that there, with the scope of work on this, it will not complete, in fiscal year 20. It'll go into 21, so we're really looking at combining years to fund,
That's probably, you probably meaning to say 21 and 22.
or 21, 20, I'm sorry, yeah. We'll not finish this fiscal year, we will finish well in the following fiscal year.
and Glenna, the annex job, we're thinking that it's at least $750,000 as well?
Yes, sir. I apologize. It's bid and is in the GMP already. If my numbers are right in my head, somewhere around 380,000 plus the elevator cost, which was 122,000, I believe that's right.
So
It did well as far as bidding goes.
more like half, just over $500,000.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well,
You said construction on that on the annex is 280 and elevator 120,
About 380.
380.
Yes, sir. And that is from my memory.
Okay. We'll note that. Question.
For those of you who haven't met CW before, let me just pause just 1 second. Introduce CW Ferris. He is another architect in my office. And so he is actually the project manager on the elevator projects. If you haven't met CW, that's it.
Just on the annex or on all the elevators?
Right now, the annex is the only one that's going, but he's also working with me on the courthouse here. He works with me, like Matt works with me on different projects. These will be nice and his.
I hope he works harder than that.
Well, you know.
It sure depends on the day.
Yeah, but when it comes time to get on the roof, you go.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
well, that was my only point, is that it is depleting the fund balance. And even with the capture of additional revenues over the next 2 years, we certainly are going to be close to spending all of that on this project. And so I just caution the court that, under our new ability to, and don't get me wrong, I know we need to do these projects and they need to be done gravely, but under our ability to tax, we have a slow process of putting that money back in to the permanent improvement fund.
It's been our lifesaver over the last, 10 years, Jay, we've used it times of.
That was an idea of Judge Gibson's, and really, it certainly carried us through a
It's
lot.
carried us through a bunch, as we've leaned on it. Any kind of natural disaster or anything that comes up, we always knew it was there to help us, and it's a good feeling.
And it is today a dedicated allocation. Mickey, it hasn't always been that. For times we would pull that designation away and maybe not fund permanent improvement. Maybe permanent improvement would catch some carryover from fund balance or something to that extent, but it's not always received a dedicated tax value.
Okay. court ready to go ahead and take action to approve the item?
As far as number 3,
Yes, sir.
yeah, I'll make a motion that we go ahead and approve that. Number 3 is it's written.
Second, Judge.
Thank you. Any comments or questions by anyone in the audience? Okay. Motion by Commissioner Finnegan, second by Commissioner Muller to approve MF Litigant CMAR proposal for the exterior and elevator renovations for the Wichita County Courthouse. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Let's go to item number 4, discuss, consider, take action on item of change clarification, IOCC number 162, smoke exhaust conduit for $46,500, and authorize Commissioner Beecham to sign the IOCC. Commissioner Beecham, would you go ahead and make a report on that, please?
Yes, Judge, this is actually way better than where we started out just over a week ago with this item. This is the one I've reported to the court with the pin-and-rated cable that essentially we had pin-and-rated cable which was non-allowable under health safety code. It was a conduit. The first estimate came back, which was the equipment cost alone, I believe $109,000, and total installation cost within the $140,000 range. This included work with City of Wichita Falls. They went ahead and approved basically an armored cable design, which is okay. It'll be laid in the conduit trays or cable trays. Was a much easier install. It for the cost $46,500. Subcontractor continues not any change orders and stuff like that.
Okay. Is that in the form of a motion?
Yes, I would make the motion that we approve that.
Thank you.
It was above my ability to sign.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any comments or questions, anyone in the audience?
Judge, I have a comment. Since it authorizes Commissioner Beecham to sign, does he want to wait till he is back, or does he want to allow you to sign?
Commissioner Beecham, do you want me to go ahead and sign that while you're out?
I can sign it, or I wouldn't change that to authorize you to sign it. It's fine.
Okay.
Just make it authorized for Judge Rogers to sign.
Thank you.
You need a motion on that authorization, Judge, or can you?
No, we had all, we just changed
It's in
it
the
around.
record.
You agreed to that?
Okay,
Yes, sir.
very good.
You agreed to that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're good. Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 5-0. Okay. Item number 6. As discussed, consider take action to approve a resolution of intent to establish a Wichita County Property Assessed Clean Energy PACE program area, and Trish will probably catch that in today's, they'll say something about it, so we'll be in good shape. The lady over here is our local reporter, covers county government.
Okay, very good. Cool. Thank you, Commissioner, Judge and Commissioners. Lee McCormick with Lone Star PACE. We are a program and large multifamily property owners to upgrade their facilities with energy and water efficiency improvements that are paid back over a long-term loan that is secured by a property tax assessment on that property itself. This gives the lenders better security on their loans, so they're willing to loan out for a longer period of time. And by doing that, they're able to align those utility bill savings from these improvements with the cost of the financing. So typically, it's cash flow neutral to that property owner from day one, which is a big incentive to help them do these types of. The PACE loan is subordinated to the county ad valorem taxes, so the county would get paid first on any past due taxes. The second item is some additional indemnification that go above and beyond what's provided in the state statutes. State statutes provide personal indemnification to the judge, the commissioners, the staff, of the county, but doesn't specifically give indemnification to the county. So our documents include additional indemnification that also covers the county as a whole, again, to make sure that the county has the fullest extent possible when it comes to protection and security with regards to the program. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Would the county not have expense in collecting and dispersing these funds?
I can answer that. So the nice thing about the statutes, the way they were written, is they allow for a direct billing process between the lender and the property owner. So even though there's a notice of contractual assessment lien filed with the county, there are no funds flow between the county and the property owner. The lender will bill the property owner just like they would if it was a commercial loan. So they could.
It won't show on our tax statement.
Will not. It will not. You will not be responsible. There won't be any liability with regards to collecting money and dispersing it either. So that's one of the nice things about the statutes, the way they were written.
Well, how does this, if this becomes a property tax assessment, what does that do to the lien situation that a property owner would have? Would it not move it above all other liens?
It does. So that's the reason these lenders are willing to loan out for a longer period of time, because they have a superior lien to any first lien mortgage. Under the statutes, though, any time a PACE lien is put on a property that has a mortgage, that mortgage holder has to give consent to that PACE lien being put on. So there is a check and balance with regards to making sure that any existing lien holder approves of the PACE lien going on.
If we put that on, it would bump their position
It does.
down, and I wouldn't see why that would be a good thing for us to be doing.
Well, but they have to allow it.
Okay.
Right,
It's
yeah.
not arbitrary. It's-
I guess my next question would be, why in the world would they allow such a thing?
Now, are they not the intermediary in the transaction?
There are PACE lenders, but the first lien mortgage lender is not an intermediary. They're a party just to the consent part of it. The reason they will give consent is from their perspective, they are getting, let's say a property owner does $1 million worth of improvements to their property. They're getting $1 million of improvements put on that facility, and even though they didn't finance it, it's increased that property value. In the event of foreclosure and default, that PACE lender doesn't have a lien on the building itself, so that property is may not be worth $1 million, but it's worth more with that lien on there. The other reason is a lot of times these property owners are doing a rehab of a facility. And instead of using PACE, they might use high-cost short-term mezzanine financing. And high-cost short-term mezzanine financing, even though it's unsecured, has a big impact on that property owner's cash flow. So a lot of the first lien mortgage holders would rather see PACE loan be used for these upgrades versus mezzanine financing. And the other aspect of it is in the event of default, let's say that property owner did $1 million worth of improvements. It's not the full $1 million of improvements that's in front of that first lien mortgage holder. It's only the past due amount. So let's say it's $50,000 a year was his PACE assessment payment. It's only $50,000 that's in front of that first lien mortgage holder, not the $1 million.
Well, how does the PACE lender secure his loan if he doesn't take a lien on the property?
That's the reason. Great question. That is the whole reason the county's involved, because the lien that PACE lender gets is that notice of contractual assessment lien filed with the county. That's the reason the county's involved, because that lien has to be filed with the county, and it can only be filed by a city or a county.
So in other words, we would have to collect it.
In the event of foreclosure and default, it would go through the normal collection process that the county goes for. And I assume you guys use a third-party collection.
Third-party law firm.
Third-party law firm. It would go through that third party, it would get reported to the third-party law firm and the county as well. The third-party law firm would go ahead and go through the normal collection process and get their fee in the same manner as they would for ad valorem taxes.
But it's not an additional cost to the county. It would just be running through just like a delinquent tax.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Lee, does the mortgage institution ever step up in and participate in the PACE? Is that a common practice or a rare practice that First National Bank, as you borrowed the money from for your original purchase of the building, and then they would become the PACE lender?
Yeah, on occasion, actually the first lien mortgage holder, and when you approach them for that lender consent, on occasion they will step up and say, we'll do the PACE loan for them.
Yeah.
So, and both us and the other program administrator are working with more and more commercial banks here in Texas to try and get them involved in the process. Right now, most of the PACE lenders are private funds that are focusing on environmental and sustainability lending. In Texas, there have been a number of banks that have stepped up for doing the PACE loans. What we've actually found is we're working with a number of commercial banks that actually are willing to give the lender consent. So on a new project, those are the ones that we're having these property owners talk to when it comes to getting a first lien mortgage holder that's familiar with PACE and comfortable with it, that they can marry up with the PACE lender to provide that capital stack.
Well, is there an incentive from an interest rate standpoint?
Yes.
For the loan?
There is. So
Is it
because
subsidized? Who subsidizes it?
because the lender has a better security interest on that property than they would if a lender were to go and do a HVAC upgrade to a building. They really don't have a great security interest in that HVAC system. If the property owner defaults, they're not going to rip it out and take that system. Exactly. So with the PACE loan, because it has the same standing as a property tax, they know in the event of default, the next person that buys that property will have to pick up those payments going forward.
To have it cleaned up.
Exactly. So they have a better credit, therefore they're willing to loan for a lower interest rate in a longer period of time.
So it's not bought down by a governmental agency so much, it's just a better position.
It's just a better, there is no governmental dollars, there's no taxpayer dollars involved with the program at all. It's all private dollars. It's just that security interest is the reason the county's involved.
What would the interest rate difference, if maybe you have an example, I mean, what are we talking about? Would it be worth a few points? Is it worth?
It's typically a point to 2 points depending on the term. So, it's
not
real.
a great savings, but it's a savings.
If you're
I think
doing a
the interest
$3
rate
million
savings-
deal on a 2-point deal, that's pretty good.
But probably the more important of it is the longer term, because with a typical HVAC installation, you might get a 5 to 7 year loan from a bank, where with PACE, that loan can go as long as the economic life of the asset, so it could be a 15 or 20 year loan. Spreading out the payments for that period of time brings that principal and interest payment down so it aligns with those utility bill savings. That's probably the bigger impact on the savings, or at least the ability to marry up those utility bill savings with the cost of the financing.
And you would think that you'd have a 10 or 15 year window on that kind of an upgrade. I mean, that kind of matches.
Yeah, HVAC system is usually 15 to 20 years.
But standard in a commercial environment, you're going to get a 5 to 7 year loan.
Right.
So getting that extra time makes a big difference.
At least doubles the term of the loan.
That answers my question. I understand it better now.
Now, in this, there's a fee. Is that fee a flat one-time fee, or is that an annual fee that?
There is both. There's a closing fee, 75 basis points. Well, there's two approaches that we talked about. There's one approach is a 75 basis point fee that goes to the program administrator only at closing, and then 10 basis points annually. The other approach that we've used with some other programs that we have is where the fee is bumped up to 1%, which is what the other program charges, and the county gets half of that closing fee, so 50 basis points at closing. And then we still get the annual fee for the administration of 10 basis points.
Just one other question. Is the PACE loan limited to a commercial bank, or, I mean, is it open for investment? I mean, if somebody wanted to pick it up, what kind of organizations would you require to write that?
Good question. And actually, we do have kind of a checklist. Statutorily, there's a list of qualifications. So it can be commercial bank, or it can be any private fund that meets certain qualifications for financial stability.
Credit union, possibly?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Credit union could be a PACE lender.
We're seeing more and more of that these days, and that's why I was questioning that. Maybe an investment group or somebody. Okay.
Yeah, back to the question, did you get a proper answer on that? That the 50% of the, and that's a one-time?
That's the
on that,
closing fee,
That's a
yes.
one-time deal on closing? Okay.
That'd be the only revenue on it to the county, other than they're improving the property and maintaining it, and we're looking at.
Improving tax base.
Exactly.
To me, that's probably the biggest reason for this, and that's why I probably support it, because if we can take some of these properties that are, whether it be Burke Burnett, Wichita Falls, Electra, if we can take an abandoned property and some investors willing to put their money into it, and they can get a better rate by this, I think it's smart for our tax base to try to build up business.
Well, and it's not gonna generate a bunch of extra work for our tax department. That was one of my concerns, if we were gonna have to do the bookkeeping, because we know how that can work down the road if you get involved in
Right.
these things, so that, apparently, that's not gonna be a
Well,
challenge.
that had been an early on concern with tax collectors that all of a sudden we
Sure.
were throwing in this kind of outlier that they were, and they just felt like that there wasn't the,
Well, I think about the complexities of our TIFs and
Yeah.
things that we never expected, and so that is one of the reason I asked that question, because it seems pretty simple, but you get down to
This
the
is,
decimal points and it can get interesting, so.
And Barry, so you know, they also will come in and do a annually or semi-annually, basically an audit of what they've done so far and what the records are and what it's showing that it's paying.
post-closing, is under the statutes, after each transaction is closed, there's checks and balances again. You have to have an independent third-party engineering review of the project on the front end to verify at least confirm what the projected energy and water savings are for the project. And then on the back end, once it's completed, that independent third-party review goes in and makes sure everything was installed the way that it was originally proposed and the funds were used as expected. And then the project should theoretically have the intended savings on the back end.
Is it new, or has it been in place for a while? or-
PACE has been around since 2013 is when the legislature first
So
passed.
there's some history there then.
There is, but it wasn't really workable until 2015. There were some hiccups in the statute that were fixed in the 2015 legislative session. So it's really only been around for a little over 5 years in a workable form.
And that third party, just for information, anybody listening or anything, that third party that does that administration part of it is paid for by the Lone Star pays or whichever pays.
The property owner pays for that.
Yeah, but still, and it's not another fee for the county.
one of the other things, in talking with some of the other entities that are participating, some of them, not many, have had kind of a review process before it's signed off by the administrator. They actually review what is the project, what is the justification, what is the payback. In other words, much like we looked at the major HVAC process we did on this building, and we were looking at the payback, it's a review like that to make sure that we're not just putting the money out there without accountability on the project. I had talked with, Ms. Hayden, are you on there by chance?
Yes, sir.
I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to add.
Yes, I first want to thank you for including me today. I wanted to encourage you to make sure that the report is posted on the website. I didn't see it this morning, but I would, that is required by the law that be posted before the hearing so people can understand what you're doing. I wanted to share with you that while the statute passed in 2013, there were 130 volunteers who met for over a year. We broke into 5 different working groups. One of those working groups was chaired by the General Counsel to the Texas Mortgage Bankers Association. We worked very closely with all stakeholders to make sure that this program would protect local government and the property owners, as well as the mortgage holders and the PACE lenders. We are working very closely with this collaborative group. I'm very proud to tell you that after that year, that program called PACE in a Box has been adopted and is operating in 65 local governments in Texas. The number of projects the projects have totaled about $133 million in new investment in Texas. We would like to serve Wichita with this model program. The program in front of you is based on that, but not necessarily inclusive of all of the protections. There's a technical standards guide. Governor Perry insisted that we have a quality technical standards guide that is used across the state and applied uniformly. And in addition to that, there are several underwriting requirements that have not been mentioned this morning, but are critical to making sure that these projects are successful and that local lenders will trust the program, grant consent, and ultimately become PACE lenders. We've closed 2 projects with bank-funded PACE. In addition to their mortgages, we hope to see a lot more of that. Banks are very concerned about the lack of uniformity. They're very concerned about what they saw in California. I know that's where Mr. McCormick's previous understanding was, where local governments were paid as these projects closed. A couple of those local governments have repealed the program because of the lack of oversight. And so I really would appreciate an opportunity to visit with your council about the documents in front of you, to compare them to what the other local governments are doing. And I encourage you to strongly support competition in this program. But local lenders in particular, and an awful lot of other folks, are very concerned about multiple administrators competing with each other instead of carefully reviewing all of these projects on behalf of the local government. So if there's an opportunity to visit with each of you about that, I welcome it, but I'd also really like an opportunity to see what the documents look like and to be able to advise you about whether or not how consistent they are with the model programs that other local governments are using. I hope that's helpful. Would be happy to answer any questions you have.
Anyone have any questions? One of the things that, in looking at this, and Lee, you may want to respond to this, I've looked at the PACE in a box, and it's a good model, and it seems like you and I discussed that earlier, that you all trying to follow. We want to have the same standards for whichever one of the 2 of you all are dealing with, so that we do the best product initiation.
Yeah, I will address that, Judge. So the documents are fairly similar. I will say the working group that was put together the documents, it seems like it was underrepresented by city and county governments. Us as a municipal advisor, our goal is to focus on the protection of city and county governments. We did notice with our council that those protections we mentioned earlier were not in there, so we added them. The documents she talked about that were developed back in 2013, which even with their firms using, is very different now. Their documents have changed about every 2 years completely. We did have a set of documents and technical standards that were very similar to what the PACE in a Box model document was, and when we put those out, the other group threatened a lawsuit against us and the county, so that's why we don't have those referenced in there. We still use the PACE in a Box documents as our guidelines. We just can't say that we do it in there because then we're getting sued. So we have the same standards, we just don't specifically put it as a footnote in the program guidelines. I think it'd be good to have a conversation with Ms. Heidinger in the county council. I would request that we be present with there, because we've had this happen in other counties where we've shown up to get approvals and this very similar conversation has happened. Most recently in the city of Burleson, and after I think a 3 or 4 month delay, going back and forth, the city adopted our documents, they adopted our program in full. Collin County's about the same spot right now. They're about to have their resolution of intent. They're adopting our form of documents. We have not had any issues with mortgage bankers or lenders having problems with documents. The people who don't like our documents, quite frankly, are the PACE lenders because it's easier for them to basically securitize the loans with having those protections in there, because the people who buy those loans are now taking on that liability for the subordination and the additional indemnification. But I think those are conversations that are probably most productive if we get in a room with the county's attorney, our attorney, and Ms. Heidinger and her attorney, and go over her concerns and point out where they're taking care of in the documents.
Okay. And that's kind of what I thought we might be leading this to. We'd hope to do this next Monday, but what I think we might want to do is, I don't want to slow down a whole lot. I want to get this done. We could post Friday afternoon, we will have a work session, and we could go ahead and put that on that agenda to have a PACE discussion and have both of y'all participate electronically or in person. That's up to you all. So,
That sounds good.
How you want to do that?
No, that would be great.
One more question, Judge.
Yes, sir.
So if we do this makes it good for all Wichita County.
Yes, sir.
So we don't have to have the city of Wichita Falls, city of Alabama.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And
So you could do it, a city could do it, or a county could do it. Okay.
yes.
But the advantage with the county doing it, it takes
Sure.
in total geographical area.
Any taxing entity, I think.
Correct.
Has the ability to put a tax lien on it.
And make sure I understand properly too, the lady on the phone is also a PACE.
That is, there's two program administrators in the state, our firm and their firm.
So both firms and if we're doing this, if I'm correct here, we're opening up to where any administrator can operate in Wichita County.
You may recall in the working group session, we brought that up, that there's two program administrators, and we're all for competition. We think that the county should have both administrators. Every county that we've ever approached, we think that choice is good for the property owners and the lenders and the contractors, and competition is good as it helps drive up service and reduce pricing. In fact, they've reduced their pricing significantly since we've come into the market. They've been doing program administration for about 5 years longer than we have. They've been at it for about 8 years. We've been at it for about 3. So since we've come in the market, they've dropped their pricing quite a bit to match our pricing.
Judge, a couple things. The technical standards manual that was created by another organization called Keeping Pace in Texas is actually under review right now, and both administrators are participating in it. It is copyrighted by an organization called Keeping Pace in Texas. I am involved in that. I am involved in that because my go back to work job in 2013 was to get this legislation passed. So I have a heart for this. That document is copyrighted so that no one plays around with it and weakens it. So yes, there was an approach to let Lone Star Pace know that they couldn't put their name on it and call it their own technical standards guide and make changes to it. They are welcome. You are welcome. Everyone is welcome to use that document at no cost, provided they do not create a derivative work and try and weaken it. One of the issues that this group works so carefully about is what is an undeveloped lot or a lot undergoing development, because the statute prohibits that. And our concern is that even though they are participating in this collaborative effort, Lone Star Pace is circulating some documents that most attorneys wouldn't sign, weakening that standard. And one of your potential projects is an undeveloped lot, so it's critical that these uniform standards be applied. Where there is work product, Lone Star Pace is free to go out and do its own work. But outside of the technical standards, where we are trying to get everyone to use exactly the same technical standards so that banks will trust it and people know what they're getting, we're not charging anybody for that. We're not prohibiting anybody from using that. We want people to use it. We just don't want them to weaken it, slap their own name on it, and misinform people that it's the same thing. Again, the idea here is to have a vibrant, trusted PACE program. And to the extent that we've worked on this for a long time, Texas PACE Authority is a nonprofit. We do this as a public service. Our goal is to not make a bunch of money on this, but to create something long-term that will be successful over time, not to be a flash in the pan, quick way to make money. Whoever your administrator is signs contracts in the name of the county, encumbers private property in the name of the county. So you want to make sure whoever's doing this has your back and is not competing with somebody else to see who can make the most money in your name. And so we love competition. We strongly suggest that you have some kind of competitive process so that whoever is administering the program is acting like they're part of your staff. We've been at this 8 years. It's a tremendous amount of work. If you compare the two websites, you'll see who's doing outreach and education and webinars and really working to serve the public. Check out the annual reports for those organizations to see how they're serving the local government. And there are 2 today, there could be 5 tomorrow. And so again, I welcome a workshop, an opportunity to talk to your attorneys. This is about attitude and conviction and public service and making sure that the property owners have success. One thing that I didn't hear today is this idea, which is something that's near and dear to the local lenders, and that's that the savings from these projects exceed the costs of the project over the life of the assessment. And if you've got competing administrators, number one, are they both going to have that requirement? And number two, if so, how is that applied? And if they're competing with each other, then you get into a situation where you get the slippery slope that, you know, maybe the lenders are going to play them off against each other to see which one is going to shave the corner on some of these requirements to get the deals done. And so, again, this is your program, pays in a box, and these requirements are just a model program. You can ignore them if you want. But that program was put together with the Conference of Urban Counties, the Texas Association of Counties, TML, the County Judges and Commissioners Association. We were the Texas Association of Tax Assessor Collectors. All of them were at the table when we built this program. And so you have before you something that can protect you and create a long-term, vibrant program. And so I just hope you'll take advantage of it. And we are not afraid of competition. We just think when it comes to the administration of a governmental function, and thanks to the Conference of Urban Counties, the statute, this program is a governmental function, so you do have governmental immunity as well. But that it be done to the greatest ability to serve you and serve your public. And when I reached out to the county back in 2017, these were early days, there weren't very many programs yet. The county wanted to wait. Your timing is excellent now because it's working. But there is something there for you to take full advantage of if you choose. And that's this program in its full capacity, not just where things have been, you know, I like this part, we're going to take this, we're going to eliminate this because it's a little bit tougher than we'd like. You could argue that we haven't closed enough projects over time. A lot of that is because banks won't consent. It's a big problem everywhere. But another part of it is that we are tough. And we do get some complaints from some of the PACE lenders that we're too tough. But we work for counties and cities. And we do that as a public service. We're not trying to make money here. And to be perfectly honest with you, our fees are in some, with a really big project, lower than Mr. McCormick's. Not because we're afraid of the competition of Lone Star PACE. It's because some of these projects were so big that in good conscience as a nonprofit, we couldn't take those, we couldn't justify taking fees that large. And so we have a sliding scale now where larger projects, the larger the project, then the smaller the fee. But that's because of the size of the project. Anyway, I look forward to meeting you on Friday, and I thank you for this opportunity to participate today. But it's really important, regardless of what you choose, how you choose to move forward on your administration, that this be buttoned up, and that lenders and property owners who have property in Wichita County and Tarrant County, and wherever else they are in the state, know they're getting the same program, or they won't trust it and they won't use it, and it'll come back to haunt everybody. And with that, again, I thank you, Judge and Commissioners, for this opportunity to speak.
Okay, let me throw this out. This is going to come at you all from left field. Why don't you all talk before Friday to find out the points you agree on, and if there's some you don't agree, so we don't spend a lot of time jockeying for position, but we try to spend time preparing to bring this to resolution and go forward. I would say my feeling still is that I'd like to see the court approve and open, so both of you can participate, and if the third comes along, because I'm also looking at who our citizens might bring to us and say, I have this relationship, I want to work. So at least that's my recommendation to the court. Council will review some of these things, and, but I don't want this to get caught in some kind of a tit for tat quagmire and we delay the process. I'm willing to certainly entertain a 1 week on this, but we need to move forward because we do have some individuals ready to move as soon as we do this. So if you all might do that, and then we'll open the meeting at 1:30, and there will be a couple of things to clear, and then we would proceed into this discussion and hopefully have ourselves ready to move forward then.
Sounds good. Thank you, Judge.
But,
That works for me.
all right, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right, anything else on this? Do we need to take action to pass this first part of the resolution now?
I'd go ahead and make a motion that we pass the first part of the resolution.
Is there a second?
Well, I was a little taken back on the competition comments. I was rocking along there pretty good. That threw me back about a mile.
You talking about competition among financial
Yes.
institutions, competition among these two?
Why would we not want competition among financial institutions? That just blew me away.
Well, my feeling on that, what percentage Lone Star base charges or Texas pays, that's their business plan.
I agree.
What I do want to see from Wichita County standpoint, that we have good projects that are likely to pay for themselves over that period of time. Now, we ourselves entered into, we had some things that were outside of the payback. They weren't going to make it, but we wanted to go ahead and upgrade those systems while we were into this. So I don't want to cut down somebody's latitude by having something arbitrary that says it has to do this.
Yeah.
I
Wouldn't quite meet the criteria, but still a good program.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
that's
So
the way we looked at those things when we did that.
but I think that's where we have a certain amount of review that we look at a project, do our due diligence to say, okay, yeah. I don't want to have a reputation that it's easy to get money that way. I don't think lending institutions are going to turn loose of long-term easy money.
It needs to work.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
But I'd like to go ahead, we adopt this is the first process, we need to do this today, and then,
So we do this and then we delve into the details more.
yeah, we actually adopt the plan.
All right, I'll second it, Judge.
Thanks, sir. Okay, any other comments? Okay. Motion by Commissioner Finnegan, second by Commissioner Muller to adopt the resolution of 10th today for Wichita County PACE project. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Is that along the same lines that I intended to win the lottery Saturday night, but I couldn't? No,
I
that'd
thought
be
maybe
different.
you were the person
No.
that wasn't telling who you were.
That'd be different, okay.
But when you showed up for the meeting today, I knew that wasn't the case.
I'm here, Judge. You can't get rid of me that easy.
So $1 billion is gonna take you out of county government. All right, let's jump down to item number 10 is receive an update on the Law Enforcement Center project. Commissioner, you wanna lead off? Harper Perkins.
Yeah, Linda's still there, all that hurt she could,
All right, she has.
Glenda's still awake.
I'm not a snoozed off for just a second. The LEC is coming along, frankly, getting that IOCC signed today to get that was quite a little conflict that we had going on. And the numbers that were being thrown around were just phenomenal, everywhere from over 200 to 140 to 109. And finally, when I got a hold of it finally at the last and talked with the city of Wichita Falls, they did allow us to utilize a better source of shielding on the wire that had been requested to put into conduit, and so put it into our shielded wire instead. Saved a lot of money right now, that amount that Joe signed today. So that was the biggest hurdle that we needed to get over right now. We've got one other hurdle that we're still gonna have to get over with a shower issue. I think Mark discussed that with you all at some point, but we do not have a resolution on that at this time. It is truly one of those, like the song says, don't blink, because you blink, and I was out of pocket for a little bit in December with my daughter graduating and son getting married, and so I missed a couple of meetings and wasn't able to walk the site as much as what I could. And then I get back and they're literally closing off sections, starting at the furthest south and moving to the north. The I sections and H section and G are all alphabetical, but anyway, they're having their final cleaning. The professional cleaners come in and do the absolute final cleaning on those. Doors are being locked and no one can get back into those sections. And so they're moving north, and as they get closer to the final B section, is where they'll finish up. But they are absolutely moving like gangbusters. This little piece with this conduit was sort of holding them up a little bit to where they could close off some sections. So they'll get moving on this very quickly and get that done. It's just truly phenomenal. If you haven't had a chance to go out and walk it at some point, y'all probably want to do that soon. It's really coming along. It just blows my mind every time I go over there. Just every other day, what more gets done and more gets completed. So it's going to be a wonderful building for the county. Mark, did I leave out anything?
No, that I can think of. No, that's really moving along. I think we've had several odds completely closed down now. You got everything across the kitchen furniture, etc. I believe they're starting landscaping next week. It's long overdue. I'll be glad to see that done. And starting, so I intend on meeting the city to go over the road repairs, but nothing to.
They got all the concrete poured before the rain and everything, snows came in, so that was a good thing too.
Yeah, the rain and some of that. But all in all, project is really well. This new day resolved the shower issue. I think you mentioned last week in court, did put them on notice that I was not going to get the contractor. They assured me that would be interviewed and did not have to touch issues in the future portion that was attached. It seems to be an ongoing problem. They assured me that they will resolve that and resolve some of the stuff there.
Okay, anything else?
Yes, sir.
Are you gonna participate in the Thursday meetings by phone
Yes, sir.
until you get back? Okay. I was gonna, if not, I was gonna, maybe ask Commissioner Pincannon to sit in, and when I can't be there in person or anything, you might kind of brief him up,
Okay.
to do that. If that'll work in your schedule.
Other than this week?
So,
Other than this week?
He's
you're
gone
gonna
this
be
week.
gone this week, okay, now, make sure.
We will have Mark Friday, will we not, Judge?
If you would like, I can take the court recorder with me and I can record it.
Okay.
I can arrange to get that get it from Nancy before the meeting on Thursday and then bring it back to her.
I can give it to you before we leave today.
Okay.
Yeah. right now, I should be good for that. So I'll bring it.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate y'all staying.
Thank you.
Sorry to catch that quicker. than you said.
That's okay, that's okay.
Good to see you guys. Okay, we're gonna go, since we've been all over the board on this, I'm trying to keep this straight.
don't want the whole carry.
I think we,
Let's go to item number 7. Discuss, consider, take action to approve
If you want, I
buy
can meet after
Caldwell
this
County
meeting, you can
for
sit down for a minute.
2020 Chevrolet 50
Absolutely.
Silverado
Yeah.
4x4 double cab at 4-door at a quoted price of $34,575 for precinct number 1 to be paid from 221-210-5001 capital expenditure lines determined by the county auditor. Commissioner Beecham.
Yes, Judge, it's a budgeted item, and it's under the budget numbers along with information we
Well, this looks like a good number to me.
Real good number.
I just sat here and went through the specs to make sure we weren't missing something.
Yeah, because it didn't have the motor included.
Does it have wheels?
Yeah.
I think that's a good bid.
So is that a second?
Yes, absolutely.
And Mark, I do
I
have a
was
question,
looking, I thought
Judge.
there must be something wrong.
Mark, does that free up, will you have a pickup that's going to become something of a spare?
Yes, we will,
And is it a half-ton model?
I believe it is.
Okay.
Which one is it, Mark? Do you know? Is it the one Leon?
Well, Leon's going down, it's the one we call sign product, so.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments, questions on that item? Lee, you don't have to say it unless you have something else to know. That's fine. Okay. I mean, these interviews are pretty entertaining. Okay, motion by Commissioner Beecham, second by Commissioner Waller to approve the item as stated. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried 5-0. Okay. Mr. Hampton.
All right. Morning, gentlemen. I want to publicly thank Nancy for getting me on the schedule today. I think I gave her at least 6-minute notice. And, thank you, Nancy. Sure. We acknowledged Gilbert this morning, but, in case you guys don't get up there on the 3rd floor too much, he is quite an artisan.
Quite a what, Bob?
An artisan.
Ask him to spell it.
I heard that word last week, that's the reason I wanted to use it this morning. But he's a craftsman, and he has made 3rd floor into what I call the Waldorf Astoria.
Yes, sir.
But,
With common materials. That's what the
really,
president.
we're blessed to have him with that kind of ability. Starting off, as you open your file, you'll see kind of, here's what's happening to us. That first deal that you're looking at is where we are on TexPool. Now, Commissioner Fincannon, you may not, that's a pool that government agencies are allowed to put their money in. There's several pools, and we use TexPool, but we also have to come under the guidelines of the Public Funds Investment Act. And so there's 2 different kinds of TexPool funds. One's a little more aggressive, and they call it the prime. But right now, the only money we have involved in TexPool is in TexPool, the original, and it's 0.09 for the return, but we have to keep that account open simply because we have a lot of direct deposits from the state. We have no money in prime. So it gives you 0.09 and prime's paying 0.14. A year ago, though, on the other side, that particular fund in TexPool was paying 1.6. and the prime was paying 1.8. Now that's a 40% decrease in regular and a 37% decrease in text pool prime. The next list you have in there is a investment firm that I use to just get an idea of what's out there, and also give you an idea of kind of the base points of where we are financially in this country. The 2-year treasury right now is trading at 0.139. And of course, the touchstone for most investors, or at least financial advisors, is the 10-year treasury note, which is right now 10 years paying 1%. So that next page, and I'm going through this, and if you have questions, don't ever hesitate. I'm always available.
I'm afraid inflation might get you on that 1%, Bob.
I'm telling you.
Big time.
Here, that next list is what we have here locally. We have our investment accounts, of course, out of American National with Cetera. And these are the agency papers which we're allowed to invest in because of the Public Funds Investment Act. But we cannot go out over 5 years, so Commissioner, so that's where we are. So the 1-year paper right now is trading at 0.12. Now this is government, federal farm credit. So it gives you an idea. And we don't even get anything reasonable until you get on that back page. And a 5-year right now is trading at 0.55. So what does all that tell us? It tells us that the government is really tightening down on our money. Of course, they can't spend it any faster than they are right now, but they're tightening it down. So you look in the investment, which I do every day at the market, the Dow, January the 8th, closed at 31,097. A year ago, it closed at 28,956. That's a 2141 point difference, which is 7% increase. S&P 500, and it closed on Friday 38.24. A year ago it was 32.74, 17% increase. NASDAQ closed Friday at 13,201. A year ago it was 9,200, which is a 43% increase. So what does all that tell you? It tells you think there's going to be a market correction pretty soon?
It tells you people wanted something.
Tell you,
people wanted something other than this, Bob, is what it tells you.
Yeah, they're scrambling for it.
They're scrambling for it.
Your point's well taken, Commissioner. It's scared money, and so my job is to tell you we ought to be scared, or at least very, very concerned. Okay, moving quickly then into your spreadsheet, and I've divided it up this time because I'll probably do that from now on. Between our investments in the bank and the jail, simply because we're slowly but surely closing out on that jail account. But we're at 36,304,000 on just general funds. That's you see a year ago, 35,788,000. That's about a $500,000 increase, which is a 2% improvement in our general fund monies. On that fourth page, you'll see the grand totals there of 50,000, 50,026. 50,026,884.
Zeros to that.
Yeah, 50 million, so those are the accounts generally that you gentlemen are basically involved in. And that's an increase of $1,600,000, which is about a 4% improvement of where we were last year.
Bob,
Yes.
how do we fund the self-insurance fund?
That 216 fund is funded primarily right now just out of interest income.
So there's no new monies that are allocated?
Hadn't been in a long time.
Okay.
Well, has it reached its statutory requirement?
Hadn't been in a long time. Good question. But as you can tell, there's $2,750,000 in that.
Bob, why is my fund $57,000 higher now than it was last year?
Most of that, Commissioner, good question, and I appreciate you even looking at it, is the fact that we've added money from tax.
Okay, that's what I thought. You fund, that's funding.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I see, because my income was only $479 on gold, so that didn't quite make up that didn't quite make it up, so. Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Do we fund that throughout the year, Judge, or do we fund that all at once?
No, it's done throughout the year,
That's what I say, as we, okay,
As you collect it.
yeah, okay.
as it's, yeah.
And then the other variable.
That's the best way, Judge.
And we will,
Once it's collected.
and see, I always equate it to a savings account and checking account. And we keep enough liquid funds to pay what we think our budget is gonna reflect, and then we put the other over into the investment deal. Nikki,
Well, Mark, I'm sorry you got,
figured this out yet?
No, I'm catching,
With no
I catch
paper
on a
today,
little
are you
bit to
there?
it.
Yeah, look at your funds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
That's always, I like.
I
to
can bring
compare.
this by to you, or, you tell me what you want me to do.
Can you scan?
You can leave it in my box, for right now. I'll make that.
Okay, well, give my regards to Ms. Beecham, I'm sorry she's got that China mess.
Yeah, me too.
That last sheet, of course, is the jail fund. And you can tell, right now, we've spent $63,136,766.17. And as of December the 31st, we had $9,787,000 in the bank, drawing interest,
Not much.
so to speak.
Bob, every time I look at this jail fund, as we watch this thing progress through this project, and I've told people, I say, I've got my goal for retirement. They said, what's that? I said, my goal is to have $70 million in my retirement account, because it works pretty good. And she wants it.
Well, hurry up and,
So that's all we gotta do is get to 70 million, and we'll be in good shape.
hurry up and win that lottery, Commissioner, that's,
Yeah, well, you gotta own a ticket though to win that, don't you, so that's the problem. What did somebody tell me, playing the lottery is, that's a tax on people that are bad at math. They had somebody tell me that the other day, so just write that down. But somebody's gotta win it.
anybody got any questions? What I'm gonna try to do is get these to you on Friday prior to Monday's report, so you guys can look at it a little deeper. But the point of these Monday morning deals is to just give you the snapshot and then let you look at it. And if you have a question, all you gotta do is just call me.
Bob, what concerns me overall, and we don't need a lot of time for discussion, I understand, but we're getting to the point now where we need these interest rates to go up for people that are retired, people that are relying on investments to operate on or to live on, and in some ways, that's kind of because we used to have a good income off of our reserves, and, we've gotten ourselves to the point now we can't afford to let interest rates go up because of those national debt. We can't. You know, that's got us in a real conundrum. Just to what to wish for. A 1% increase in, interest rates would be pretty tough. What's our debt now? How many trillion?
Oh,
You know,
Commissioner, I don't know if anybody even knows right now.
I think you're right.
It's beyond grasping.
But your point's well taken, we
Yeah.
better start addressing it.
Yeah,
We've got a
I
challenge.
tell you, I tell you, people that are getting hurt is people that have saved and planned and are, you know, they retired, thinking that they were in good shape, and this is brutal to them, just brutal to them. So, anyway, that's my,
It's particularly hard on guys like me, called old people. Any other questions?
No.
Okay.
Thank you,
My
Bob.
thanks for the deal about Friday, that's really nice. We have those reports on Friday.
I'll get them on Friday. Now, I won't be here this Friday because, I'm going to Grand Lodge. I get fired this, I get fired Friday. So,
For that high paying job.
that high-paying job,
Yeah.
but I'll see your brother-in-law, so
Uh-huh.
I'll tell him, that you send your very best. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Bob.
thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Hanson.
Anyone else in the audience have any comments to make? Commissioner Beecham?
That's probably, but,
No, okay.
yeah, I just wanna, once again, congratulate the Raiders for a great football season. They played a well in the game, and scored the competition in Colorado. They were in it by the control. Fourth quarter, a couple of turnovers, really cost them. But a great season, and, one day they wanted to stay.
Got the longest running history, Mark? I believe it is, isn't it?
Yeah, times the longest run of this.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, I don't have to feel bad, the Steelers didn't do so well last night either.
And that's okay. That's the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
At my house, there is no NFL, so.
I would like to bring up something right quick if I can before we close here.
Yes, sir.
As far as our time, as far as COVID, as far as, when are we gonna be able to talk about this as a court?
Appreciate it. We'll
Okay.
need that again.
I didn't know where to go with it until we knew what came out of that deal.
Okay?
So-
And because we can't talk about it amongst ourselves outside of court, I just wanted to bring it up and kind of find out where because right now, there's not really a good county policy. And we all know that, but we're gonna have to come to some kind of, so Monday, we're putting it on the agenda to discuss it and take action, or discuss it?
No, we can't, we've got to, let me go ahead and get out. What will be on Monday's agenda is, what do we do about COVID absenteeism now? We had a program during the first 8 months of this that allowed us to pay those people because we got reimbursement. We do not have that any longer. Government funding for salaries was left out of the new COVID Relief Act. So we've got to decide what is our policy, whether people have to use their vacation sick leave, or they are gonna get COVID payment, you know.
Are we gonna do?
Discuss that on Monday, but we have to take action, and the problem is right now, whatever action we do by statute cannot be retroactive.
Correct. As far as discussing this, I mean, can we discuss it? Will it be brought up, can we discuss it on Friday's business meeting? Kind of what our,
We can put it on there for Friday.
I just think it would be good we need to put some forethought in it, maybe have some ideas from each commissioner, what our thoughts are. I mean, from even the county attorney, we can't, I don't think it's really right to pay. We just have to make sure it's fair for everybody. Each department needs to be getting the same treatment, each section.
Okay,
So,
let's do that on Friday, Commissioner.
okay, all right.
And it's always good for something like that, especially to have a little time to kind of think and study about it.
Right.
Coming in, getting the deal, and then having to make the decision. Sometimes a day or two really helps, but, sort it out, so.
Well, and we'll tell, department heads, elected officials, we are gonna discuss this in a work session on Friday, so if they wanna display on there, they can.
Does TAC have a,
Well, when I talked to the senior HR person at TAC, they said, you need to do something, if you're gonna try to pay your people, you need to do it right away, because right now, you probably didn't budget to do that, and you don't have a policy to do that. You know, we never have had this situation, and when they went to the nth hour and didn't fund anything, it is now on us. So, let's wait, we'll have it as a work session item on Friday, we'll take an action, try to have it as an action item on Monday.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Commissioner, anything else to report?
No, sir.
Commissioner Mullins?
oh, just, we're trying to carry on. Wet weather is, I hardly ever complain about wet weather, but it's dry a lot more than it gets wet, but it's slowing down a few, we were working on some drainage projects last, couple of weeks and making some progress, and just trying to get prepped where we can get ready under our heavy spring road work, and I think the foreman had a good trip down to look at the equipment Friday, and, they had some good comments, so we've got something to think about and discuss there. But that's about it. Successful Virginia Livestock Show.
Yep.
Appreciate everybody that participated.
Good deal. Commissioner Watts?
Yes, I just reiterate what Barry said. Good livestock show, and a lot of kiddos from across the county here participated. It's fun to see the different changes. One of the things Barry and I discussed while we were there was the large interest that's grown in the dairy goat show. It just seems like it's ballooned into
From zero.
yeah, from zero, it's become the new chicken rabbit kind of thing or something, so that's real good. Willie, material bids, will they be available next Monday? Should be?
Tuesday, Monday's holiday,
Oh, okay, okay.
so it'll be next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. Okay, I forgot about
Forgot
that.
about the holiday Monday.
Okay.
Oh, I would have reminded.
Is Willie Wall's birthday, or what are we celebrating on Monday?
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King.
And to what Barry said, I think the foremen were pleased with the machine that they discussed with J.B. Klossner. It's about 20,000 pounds lighter than what we've had in the past. Not near the bells and whistles to learn. It doesn't have the cab, is it articulating cab or the moving cab?
Yeah.
But those are things that we certainly could forego, so that's good. There is chip spreader option, but that seems to be the width of the chip spreader was only 16 foot, I believe.
Looks like we'll probably still be using our rock box in.
We'll use ours, and what we had thought was to investigate, Mickey, in case we've got a long history with our
We spent
frontline box laid down on us.
We've
and
spent a
so-
lot of money on it, though. I
Yeah,
mean,
we
there's a
have.
lot of new parts on there that.
We have, and hopefully we're
And it
past.
did run the last few days successfully, so
Yeah.
that gives you a little.
So we're excited about
2
that.
years or 3 years?
Don't get to meddling.
Some old guy suggested we keep that old chip spreader.
Yeah.
The guys
We've got it in our possession, Joe, we're not letting it get away.
The foremen are discussing the, maybe that timeline on starting that milling machine, and so, you know, I guess we need to weigh in as to what thought maybe into March somewhere.
what did it look like on length? Is it gonna fit on that logo there?
Yeah, I think it will, yeah, I
No,
think.
that wasn't the question. I said, will it? It's not about,
Uh,
I measure it.
You know, I don't know, Sam, I'm sure got a good idea, but we got the dimensions of everything. That was one of my deals from Jack to have him do, as well as the teeth program and to understand those on how that works and how that cost us, so.
If I understand it right, it's the same size drum.
Yes,
So we'll get the same product.
we get the same amount of workout width-wise out of it.
It's gonna fit what we do a lot better.
Yeah, because we don't have the depth, Judge, that causes needing tremendous horsepower, so.
That's turned out to be a really good idea.
Yeah,
It did well there.
And with some management, it can even be better.
yeah, and I think bringing it in a little later like that, probably a better ideal, and we don't have the roads tore up as long, you know, before they're cleaned back up, and Barry, when we're doing like a 7 to 8 mile stretch, will we want to chip all that up at one time, or will we chip up 2-3 miles and then as we start over, keep on moving, or
We
how?
don't have anything that long because we just can't budget that size project, but one of the really good things that happened late in the season, we learned as we went along, thank goodness you hope you will, is we ran that thing hard and we stuck enough motor graders and stuff behind it to
Right.
make it work. And I
Right.
tell you, that's a very successful way to do it. You need 2 blades or 3 blades, get them out there and get it done.
Right,
I don't think there's any question if you've got the budget to do it, Jeff, doing those long runs are not a problem. That's when you need to bring your equipment in and get it passable and get it done.
Right.
I think we learned how to do that last year, so I think that'll work well.
Okay.
So I think we can do it, it's just if your budget will stand it.
right. And Judge, the last thing, have you had any correspondence with any fire chiefs? Has anybody wanted to set up any kind of meeting or discussion or anything, as just to review what we've sent them, or do you know if Lee has maybe?
I talked with Lee this morning, they're having a meeting of the chiefs, kind of go over and centralize what their concerns are about it.
Oh, okay, okay. So they're kind of coordinating that
Yeah,
now.
I don't know if they're gonna meet this month, or they're gonna wait till the first Wednesday of next month.
Oh, okay,
So right now, the ball's in their court to come back.
okay.
And the other thing I thought about on that is, we've got other nonprofits we give money to, so maybe we need to ask some of those same questions of them that we're asking of our fire departments.
Audit, 501c3.
Yeah, what's your status? Do you have it? Whether we're talking about Patsy's House, Child Welfare Board is established by statute, so it's different. I think they do have a 501c3 status if they get the other money into, that they get. So, we probably need to look all the way across the board and be fair and prudent. And none of this is trying to run anybody's business. The whole effort here is just good accountability. And make sure that they say that our own Wichita County Rural Volunteer Fire Department didn't keep their 501c3 status up. And so they've had to go back and reapply and get that. So we're hoping to, get that in line. So,
And then, Nancy, what was the purpose of our sheet? We're not talking about that today at all.
No, it was,
Just to review.
Reiterated one.
Okay,
yeah,
I've gone through it.
Okay.
Our order's good.
okay.
It's just that day.
That's all I had, Judge.
okay. One thing I had down was, I'm still working on the vaccine delivery, why we haven't gotten more in Wichita County. Good news is, there was an outreach made by the health department and, by United Regional to work with both the Midwestern and Vernon College nursing programs. The neat thing is what they're gonna have them do, because they are medical providers, they will all get their practice on each other, the students, to get the shots, and then hopefully when we get vaccines that we can open pretty wide open to the public, or better than we have now, that, you know, we'll have more people. Part of our problem is we don't have enough people to give shots. And a couple of people said, well, we can always get the National Guard. When you pull the people with the National Guard, you lose them out of somebody's current medical facility, because they're weekend warriors, and they're somebody's Monday through Friday source, and so we gotta be careful of that thought pattern. It's not, we've never had something so statewide. In 15, when we had 63 counties under a flood disaster declaration, we taxed our National Guard personnel pretty heavily.
Judge, we full well realize what a call that does to our jail staff.
Yep.
We've experienced that over the years, and, good point.
So there are efforts being made, but the biggest problem is not enough definition coming out of the state. And I don't know, that's because they're not getting enough federally, but right now the effort is all 1A, which is medical personnel, first responders, and people 75 and older. Next will be the 1B group, and then we should be looking at, that's 65 and older, or those with special medical needs that are 16 or above. For getting the Pfizer or 18 for getting the Moderna. So it's still a challenge. And,
Well, and I assume some of that first pass, didn't they have to hold some back to do the second round?
well, there's finally gave some definition on that. They said, no, you need to go ahead and issue everything, and the second shot of distribution will catch up with you. Well, we're already in.
It's coming for some folks.
Should be coming due for the second.
And Judge, what's the discussion about the freeboard of time you have there?
Well,
Do you know?
I don't know. You know, ideally, you want to get it in that window, and of course, the more we go, some people, the second shot's worse or something. You know, I've only heard of one person that talked about having a reaction. Now, supposedly there was one death in Florida, a doctor that took the shot and had a reaction. If you listen to the television at night and they're advertising all the, I call it the old folks medicines, every one of them tells you that if you're allergic to so-and-so, well, if I do, that doesn't help me. I want to know what in there, makes me so, at any rate.
Well, I noticed we just received a public information update from the health department on the vaccine, and so there's some more information coming on it.
But, we're on the list, and it's just that what they have allocated, we're coming on through. We had a good start, but the allocation hasn't been delivered.
Maybe it'll break open here in a few days.
Yeah. So, all right, anything else?